Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Got a full house today. It's kind of like church. There's a few seats up front for you guys standing in the back. Glad you could make it today. Look around, I actually see a few faces that have been here for some of our cattlemen's colleges in the years past. We really appreciate you guys being here. So time is money. Who's heard that before? We've all heard it. We're farmers. I think we're always trying to figure out how to find more hours in a day. Well, what we're going to talk to you is how to make the most of the time that we've got. My name is Ryan Malik. I'm the owner-operator of Malik Farms in Russellville, Arkansas. We've got a small cow-calf operation that I operate with my wife and my 3 daughters. I'm the location manager at Greenway Equipment in Russellville, and I'm also a member of the Arkansas Cattlemen's Association. Start with a quick story. This wasn't in our presentation, but a couple of weeks ago, I got a chance to go to the Arkansas FFA Chapter Presidents Conference. They had a Q&A session for these chapter leaders to come in, visit with some industry professionals. We got to tell our story, how we got into the industry, and they asked us some questions about our industry and things, that pertain to it. I'm going to share the story I shared with them. In 2001, I was home from college, working for Dad at the farm. He sent me to the John Deere store. He said, hey, go pick up some parts. We were getting ready for hay season. It was in June. I walked in, I got the parts, and really offhand, I said, hey, do y'all hire summer help? Work through college? I thought, man, that'd be a cool part-time job. Work at the John Deere store, play on equipment, sell some parts. And I didn't realize that I never would leave the John Deere store when I walked in. But I got to share with them. We had just been to an employee tech farm visit. Greenway's got a tech farm in Newport where we partner with Deere. They send us test equipment. We run through all of this technology that we keep talking to you guys about. If any of you were here last year, you saw the video on full autonomy. John Deere running tractors without drivers. All of this neat stuff that we're talking about. Stuff that what Deere is telling us by 2030, there will be a full autonomous solution from plant, spray, and harvest. Not a single person in the cab of the tractor. 2030 is not that far away. And we got through talking about this story, and I can go on forever talking about equipment. I'm an equipment nerd. It's just part of what I do. And I got a question from one of the chapter officers, and they asked me, when you started, did you ever think that you would see the type of advancements in technology that you're seeing today? And I thought, wow, that's a question that I answered, and I thought about even later that night, because that's a pretty interesting question. My answer was this: we never know what's coming down the road, but as farmers, from the beginning of time, we have always been looking for that next piece of technology, that next thing that can help save us time, because time is money. The faster we can produce something, the faster you can get a crop in the field. For hay producers, the faster we can get that crop off the field. That makes us money. So we've always been ready to adopt that next piece of technology. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I thought it was an interesting question and something that I keep coming back to, because the future's now. We're seeing some of this stuff that we never thought was possible. Let me start with an industry update. I think you'll be familiar. I said I was an equipment nerd. Every time I drive by a dealership, doesn't matter what brand it is, I'm going to slow down. I want to see what's on the lot. You've probably noticed, if any of you guys do that, there's more equipment on lots than there was a couple of years ago. It's not where I want it. It's not where my sales guys want it. It's not where you guys want it to be, but it's a whole lot better than it was. 2 years ago, if you wanted a baler and a tractor this time of the year, I didn't have one to sell you. We've got them on the lot now, and everybody else does too. Also, if you're like me, every quarter you get that letter from Farm Credit telling you that your interest rate's going up on your operational loan. Luckily, Deere's still offering some low interest rate and zero rate financing on equipment, so we've got the option there to help get you into, whether it's a piece of equipment, whether it's a new hay rake, whether it's some of this technology that we're going to talk to you about. We've got some financing options available that are going to be low interest. Some of what we're seeing is market trends. Like we talked about last year, operations are getting larger. People are moving to that next size of equipment. They're trying to maximize the potential of the land that they've got. We're seeing bigger rakes. We're seeing bigger hay tedders, bigger hay mowers, larger hay balers. And that's not a new trend. That's a trend that's been going on for a long time. I'm sure a lot of you, when I started at the dealership, this right here was as common as that. And I've made the swap from an open station to a cab tractor, and I'm sure a lot of you have too. I'm not going back to that. Not for baling hay. The wind always seems to be blowing the wrong direction when you turn around to tie a baler with an open station baler. So we're just seeing that stuff come down the pipe. Speaking of equipment getting larger, we really sat down and started looking. Those of you that are familiar with Deere equipment, you know the John Deere 6000 series. For years, the 6000 series, that was the tractor. If you were a mid-sized hay producer, you wanted a John Deere 6000 series. Well, the 6000 series are getting some age on them. So you go into the dealership, you go see your salesman Rocky or one of the other sales guys and go, hey, I need a new 6000 series tractor. Well, there aren't any 6000 series tractors anymore. We've got family sizes of tractors. And you go, I don't want a 5. They said, the salesman says, well, you need to look at this 5 series. And he said, I don't want a 5 series. Well, you need to check your specs. The new 6 series, the 6 family tractors are awesome tractors. And if you're ready to make the next step to go bigger, we want to look at it. But if you're happy with the size you've got, I want to show you. So you can take a 2002 John Deere 6410. We've got 100 engine, 90 PTO horsepower. Power quad 16-speed transmission, that's power shift. 162.7 inches long, weighs 8,754 pounds. We're talking tractor without the loader. All right, well, let's take a look at a 2022 John Deere 5 115M. 115 engine horsepower, 100 PTO. Power quad plus 16-speed transmission, that's a power shift, same as the other. 163 inches long, 9,185 pounds. So what the new 5 family tractor is may very much be equivalent to what you've got. That's why it's important to look at the specs. Something else we're seeing, and I've got notes, I hadn't looked at them yet. We're seeing customer expectations from a dealership, they're changing, and they're changing rapidly. You've got to have an equipment dealer for today. You've got to have an equipment dealer for tomorrow. What does that look like? You need a manufacturer that's stable. John Deere celebrated 100 years of tractor production in 2018. I think everybody knows the story of a blacksmith that created the next best piece of technology in 1837 with the steel plow. His name was John Deere. You need a fully staffed dealership. And I'm not talking about a couple of sales guys in the office that are waiting on you to come in the door and tell them what you want. Every dealer's got that, everybody. I'm talking about a parts department that's fully staffed and trained, a service department that's fully staffed and trained. Not just 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We're talking about working when you work. I would imagine most of us here are full-time farmers and part-time employees somewhere else, or the other way around. We're working a 40-hour week so we can work another 40-hour week. A couple of options you've got with Greenway is a My Greenway customer portal. You can log into this, you can look up parts, you can order parts 24/7. If you do business with Greenway and you don't know this, next time you're in the dealership, get the after-hours parts call. If you're Saturday afternoon baling hay, Sunday afternoon baling hay, you've got a breakdown, there's a number that you can call. We keep an on-call parts person on the weekends ready to come in to take care of you if you need some parts. Service is the same way. Does your dealership have a fully staffed, fully trained service department? Once again, not just 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. When rain's coming on Monday and the hay's down on Sunday and you're broke, is there somebody that can come take care of it, come fix you? And lastly, technology adoption. Not just from the manufacturer, but from the dealer that you deal with. Do you have someone that can support the stuff that Rocky and Tyler are going to talk to you about? Some of this new technology that is coming in some of these tractors from the factory, some really neat things that can help. Do you have a dealership that can help you when you need help at your speed? I'll leave you with this challenge. If your dealer can't do all of this, You need to find one that can. Lastly, we're seeing technology being adopted at a rate quicker than ever before in small ag. Something we've seen over the last couple of years is the adoption of self-propelled windrowers. These machines are awesome. 5-meter heads, cutting at 14 miles an hour. You're cutting 33 acres an hour. The large operations are adopting these quicker than we ever imagined. We put one in the field last week. I bet I put an hour on it just in the back lot driving it because I'm an equipment nerd. That's what I do. Lastly, we've got AMS technology adoption. We're seeing this come, and we're seeing it come fast. Listen, I know, Brian, I don't need this stuff. I don't need it. And I get it. And I'm a salesman who's been told, Ryan, if I bought everything that you said I need, I couldn't afford to farm anymore. Well, I think after this presentation, there's going to be a few things we're going to show you that I don't think it takes near as many acres as you think to make it a need and not just a luxury want. I'll turn it over to Tyler.
Well, good morning. My name is Tyler Cantrell. I am a precision ag specialist for Greenway Equipment. So that is a picture of my wife Kelsey there on the left. We have been married 5 years now, no kids just yet. And now that I think about it, don't tell her that I specified she's in the picture on the left. I might get in pretty bad trouble for that. The picture on the right, I feel the need to defend myself a little bit. I have killed bigger deer than this, I promise. That was the first one I took with my bow, so it's kind of my favorite. Anyway, so grew up in Ball Knob, Arkansas. My family owns a logging and forestry business in Ball Knob, so spent a lot of time in the woods running a chainsaw when I was growing up. Anyway, we would shut down and during the summer months and farm about 1,000 acres of soybeans. So I've got a little bit of a row crop background and went to school at Arkansas Tech, got a degree in mechanical engineering, and I have been working for Greenway about 1.5 years now. So anyway, when I talk about being a precision ag specialist, what does that mean exactly? So Greenway employs an entire team of individuals like myself who are dedicated to helping you learn and operate this newer technology. So we've also got a support center in Northeast Arkansas that is on call 24/7 who is dedicated to helping you as well. And so, you know, we want to ensure that this technology that you invest your money in is working when you head to the field because we know just how valuable your time is. And so that's what we want to kind of talk about today is just some available technologies that can help you impact your time. So, all right, so we've probably all heard about Autotrac or auto steer. We kind of use those terms interchangeably. So when I talk about Autotrac, the first question I get from somebody is, well, what do I actually need in order for my tractor to Autotrac? So what I tell people is you need the big three. So what is the big three? So we need our Starfire receiver. So that's in the bottom left here. That is the globe that mounts on top of the tractor. Then we need an activated display. That's pictured there in the middle. And then we need the mechanical components. So our Starfire receiver, like I mentioned, is going to mount on top of the cab. It's going to get our GPS signal from the satellites. Our display is going to simply run our Autotrac functions, and then the mechanical components are what is actually going to physically steer the tractor. And so that can come in the form of integrated components, like on our newer machines that are working behind the scenes to actually steer the tractor, or that can come in the form of an ATU 300 or an Autotrac Universal 300, which is pictured in the bottom right there. And we'll show you some videos later kind of about what that looks like. But it really is that simple, the big three. And after this, we've just got to have some, you know, harnessing and a few brackets to get all this mounted and plugged up together. And we can make just about any machine Autotrac. So we really just kind of wanted to show you how simple it actually is. And to kind of expound on that, we've got a video here showing the ease of operating one of our Gen 4 displays. So you'll notice I've got an implement attached to the tractor here. I just quickly built a sprayer and attached it to the tractor. Took like 2 minutes to do that. And so anyway, I'm going to play this video here and kind of walk through what it's doing. So the first thing we want to do is adjust our track spacing. All that is we are adjusting how far apart our guidance lines are going to be as we run through the field. So I'm going to change that to 34 feet there. We'll hit OK. And so now we're actually ready to set a line, a guidance line. And so we'll simply go to set track, and we're going to set a simple AB line. So again, we'll go to new track, and you can name these however you want. You can keep track, so you can go back and use these guidance lines again later. The display will save all that information in there for you. So then we simply set A, and then we drive at least 10 feet. It is important to mention that you can drive as far as you want to drive before you set your B point. But we'll drive at least 10 feet, and we'll go ahead and set our B. And you'll notice that it populates this straight line that just continues on. And then we've got lines out to the side at 34-foot increments. So we've got lines now all the way across our field. And then simply, we just hit our Autotrac resume button, and that tractor is now steering itself along that line. And so you'll notice the way we've got this display set up is when we engage our Autotrac, it's actually painting a coverage map behind you, so you can see exactly where you've been in the field. And that way, you know, you're not missing any, you're not skipping any places. So that's just a very helpful visual for you to have. Whenever we get ready to disengage the Autotrac, we simply manually grab the steering wheel and take over, and it will disengage our Autotrac. You'll notice as soon as this other line lights up, we can hit our Autotrac resume button, and it'll pull that tractor onto that line. And so you can be a little bit cleaner with these coverage maps. I just kind of wanted to show a good visual here of that tractor actually pulling itself onto that line. So we'll notice, you know, it'll zero out, it'll pull itself right on that line, and where you can see we're not skipping any passes because we've got a perfect coverage map behind us. You'll also notice there's a neat feature up here where it's actually counting how many acres of ground you have worked. So another just cool feature for you to have there. All right, so how intimidating is that? We understand that, you know, this technology, it can be a lot to look at first, right? It can be intimidating. But as Ryan talked about being that dealer of the future, we are dedicated to helping you learn this technology. And so Greenway is set up with individuals like myself, an entire support center dedicated to helping you learn and understand this technology that you might invest your money in. Okay, so what's the question running through everybody's mind right now? How much does it cost? Yes, exactly. Well, the good news is I'm going to tell you exactly how much it costs. Okay, so who's shocked by that? Probably most of you, right? That $12,500, that looks like a big number at first. When we look at the potential savings, so this is actually, these are some real world numbers here that Rocky will dive into in a little bit. But when we look at the savings just based on 60 acres, that's utilizing Autotrac on 60 acres saved $3,900. And again, Rocky's going to talk a little bit more about that later. But that means the payoff on that system is less than 3.5 years. So think about if you're actually doubling that acreage. So if you're doing 120 acres, your payoff is less than 2 years. So it really becomes, you know, we start to see the value in this technology when we throw these real world numbers up on the screen here. And we start to see just how valuable it can be to our operations. And so I did want to point out this number at the bottom, this $3,100, that might be a little confusing at first. So the Starfire receiver and the universal display are so simple and so easy to swap between machines that there's really no need to purchase additional ones. Those can be swapped to another tractor in a matter of less than 5 minutes. And so once you make the initial investment, the only thing you're buying for additional tractors is the Autotrac Universal 300, the ATU 300, and then our harnessing and brackets. So, you know, we just wanted to kind of show how realistic, you know, this can be. And so let's kind of transition now to another piece of technology that maybe some of us are familiar with, but maybe we're not fully utilizing just yet. So how many have heard of JD Link? By show of hands. A few of you? Okay. So this is a factory installed option on most of our new 5 and 6 series tractors. And so it is included in base price. So that means you're paying you're not paying anything for it. It's included in the base price of that machine. And it is 100% free to use. Some of you may be familiar with, there used to be a subscription cost associated with the JD Link. That has gone away, and it is entirely 100% free to use. So what is it? So JD Link is a tool that allows you to quickly view useful data about your machine. And so that's done through an app we call Operations Center. It can be done from the phone or from the computer. And so it unlocks access to all of this useful information we see listed here and much more. So from your fingertips. You can quickly see, fuel level, depth level. Some of the really helpful things we've noticed with our customers, they love seeing the location and location history. At all times, you don't have to be anywhere near the machine. You can pull up your phone and see exactly where your tractor is at all times and see where it has been. The trouble codes is another really neat thing. Instead of digging through the dashboard of your machine trying to find trouble codes, it will actually transmit that to your phone, and you can pull that up and see trouble codes right on your phone. Just another really neat thing that Deere has provided. So, when you're ready to order parts for that trouble code, if you need a technician to come out and take a look, he knows what he's going out there to do because we've already got the trouble code for you. So, we mentioned that you could see all of this information. So let's kind of see what that looks like here. So these are some snapshots of Operations Center. This is a 6120M located at the tech farm that Ryan mentioned in Newport, Arkansas. So we can see that when I took these snapshots, this tractor was actually working. And you'll notice it says as of now. So when I took this, it was saying that that tractor is on and it's in the field working. So it'll actually tell you whether it's sitting at idle, whether it's working, or whether it is shut off. But so kind of working from the top left up here, we see our engine hours right at the top, 1,287 engine hours. We got our fuel and depth levels. That directions button is a really neat little tool. So if you give someone access and permission, they can route themselves directly to that tractor. So whether it's at the back 40 or whether it's underneath the pole barn at the headquarters, they can route themselves directly to that tractor. So that's very beneficial for several reasons. So if you give me access, if I'm coming out to do a setup on some technology, I can know right where that tractor's at. Same thing with a technician. If a technician is making a service call, he knows right where to go. And in the end, it can save you money in travel time with a technician coming out. But again, that is with your permission only. We can't access that without you. So, and so we see when I took these pictures, this tractor was working. So we get some utilization data here. And so we'll notice that tractor was started. It sat at idle for less than a minute. And then for the past 30 minutes, it had been working. And then we even get the time frame up there that it had been working in the field. And now I know that none of you have ever argued about how much fuel your tractor burns, right? But just in case, you can now lose those arguments with confidence because we've got our fuel rates right over here. And so you can know exactly how much fuel that you are burning depending on what operation you're doing. Again, just some another neat feature they've included there with JD Link. So we did mention that, you can see location at all times. Again, this is a snapshot of our tech farm in Newport, Arkansas. You can see these tractors, when I took this picture, are all lined up at the edge of the field here. Excuse me. So, we've kind of talked about some benefits of this, how it benefits you, what you're able to do with it. But I wanted to really go one step further and kind of share with you some customer testimonials of how this has really helped our customers out. For certain JD Link machines that are equipped properly and that have displays in them, again, with the customer permission, I have access to be able to log in and look at that screen to help walk you through how to do certain things over the phone. And so again, that's entirely with your permission. That can't be accessed without you giving us access. So, but this is a neat tool. So this was at the end of the day, this was about 2 weeks ago now. I was pulling up to the house. I just pulled into the driveway, sitting in my truck. I get a phone call from a customer. And so I take the phone call there in the driveway. As a customer who had been using Autotrac for a pretty good while at this point, he was pretty familiar with it. But he knew there were some functions within the display that he hadn't quite grasped or used yet. And what he wanted to do was count how many acres were in a certain field. So he gave me permission. I was able to log in and look at his screen from my phone. And I was able to walk him through how to get to this page here about the field boundaries. And so I will mention this is, so Deere has given us access to an online simulator. This is a picture from the simulator because we do not share customer information. But this is very similar to what, to the instance that he had. He was wanting to drive a boundary around a field. So just for a visual, I went into the simulator and drove a boundary so we'd have a good visual up here. What he thought was an 18-acre field was actually about 15 acres. All of a sudden, he's a lot happier with his bales per acre that he's been getting, and he can plan for fertilizer and chemical a whole lot better than he was. So he was pretty thrilled about that. You'll notice this little yellow boundary in the middle. I've actually got that in there just so, for example, like say there's a pond in the middle of that boundary or a group of trees. You can actually take that out of the field, and so you know the exact amount of acreage that you're baling, you're spraying, you're fertilizing, you're raking. So again, just a very neat feature that they have provided to us. And this was just, that customer was super thankful to be able to do that, and he has since, I think, mapped out all of his fields now with the acreage. So this next one, this happened last summer actually. I was in my truck on Highway 64 between Russellville and Morrilton, and I get a call from a customer who had recently purchased an Autotrac setup, and for some reason it was failing to work. He couldn't get it to work right. So anyway, I pull over on the side of the road, I pull up the simulator, and he started with this picture on the left here. So his Autotrac was unavailable. After about 15-20 minutes, we had him back to the screen on the right. He's got lines on the screen, and he is back working in the field. And so why do we share this with you today? Excuse me, Ryan talked about, being this dealer of the future, the dealer of tomorrow. And we just want to reiterate the fact that, Greenway we do have an entire team of precision ag specialists that are dedicated to helping you learn and understand the precision ag technology that's kind of taking the agricultural industry in waves. So again, it's just one thing that Greenway is doing to really help prepare for the future, because we know this technology can be intimidating, and we know it's a lot to look at first, but we're not going to leave you stranded because we know the value of your time, and when you go to the field, you can be confident and ensure that that technology is going to work. So I'm going to turn it over to Rocky. He's going to talk a little bit more about a setup we just installed, actually.
I am the 44-year-old son of David and Deanna Morgan. I've got this upside down. I'm happily married to my wife, except during hay season, of 21 years. Father of 4 beautiful daughters and a ferocious dog named Sissapoo. Operate our family farm with my father, and I'm also a proud member of the Arkansas Cattlemen's Association. Okay, we're going to talk about a few of the benefits of technology, precise applications. As we all know, this stuff's cheap, right? Prices are at an all-time low. I wish that really was the case. Nowadays we have to make every dollar count. Seed, chemicals, fertilizing, they are all expensive inputs. We have to be precise in our applications. Does anybody else moonlight as a full-time farmer like I do? Or is anybody tired when we get off of work, go to the field? I know we all want to remain as productive as possible for as long as possible. Technology can help us when a helping hand may not be an option. Drilling, seeding, spraying, fertilizing, they can all be very tedious tasks. Now, we're going to talk about a scenario that we've covered in previous Cattlemen's College. We're going to talk about overlap. Grower has a 10-acre field and a 10-foot cutter. You overlap by 6 inches. 5 extra passes will be required to complete the job. Here's another scenario. Underlap. Has anybody ever left a streak out in the field after spraying? On the surface, this looks like a lovely stand of ryegrass, and it is. But notice the bare spots right there. So let's talk about this. Grower has a 20-acre hayfield and 8-foot drain. We underlap by 6 inches. We drill it in circles. 18 of the 20 acres will be planted. At 5 bales an acre, our yield will be reduced by 10 bales. So, how much does this cost us? Are we still fertilizing 20 acres? Are we still spraying 20 acres? Are we still going to cut 20 acres? Are we still going to ted 20 acres? Are we still going to rake 20 acres? We're still going to bale 20 acres. Are we still burning the fuel? Do we just pretend we've got a solid stand of grass like that in the picture? So, Has anybody ever asked you how many acres you farm? The snarky answer is all of them. Now, it doesn't matter if you have 100 acres or you have 1,000 acres. We have to maximize our available acreage. We're still covering the ground whether the crop is in it or not. Our yields can be reduced by as much as 30% just because the crop is not in the ground and we're spending money like it is. So, could technology help us? This is where it gets somewhat painful. You want to know where these numbers came from? Right here. That's my checkbook. So let's talk about it. We cut that field 3 times this spring. We spent $25.97.50 on fertilizer. We spent $227.50 on chemicals, $290 on diesel fuel. So, grand total, $31.11.15. That translates to $155.78 per acre. We spent $311 on 2 acres that did not grow anything. We lost $1,000 in yield. And if you happen to have 2 more fields done this way, that number balloons to that right there. Guys, this is just a hay meadow. We're not talking about our pastures. We're not talking about fertilizing the grasslands. That's another presentation. Reduced operator fatigue. If you guys remember that picture, at the time that that field was ready to be sown, my father had been gone doing disaster relief work for the Arkansas Southern Baptist Relief Team. He just got back from a 10-day deployment from Fort Myers where the team worked long hours aiding in the recovery of the hurricane. We had a small window to sow ryegrass, so you know what he did? He got the drill ready. He went to work. You think being tired from 10 days in Florida and the heat had anything to do with production? It would have mine. Now, and this is in jest, the case against technology. Everybody's got an excuse why they don't need technology. Crooked lines don't bother me. I'll get bored. That's my dad. We have a great time. I wouldn't trade anything for the world. My problem comes down to needs and wants. What do you think, Lee? Looking a little bit more like a need. Now, let's hear from a few customers that have recently started their own technology journey and see what they have to say.
My name is Tony Krupp with Krupp Farms LLC.
I'm Dylan Jackson.
My name is Allison Jackson.
We run a registered and commercial cow-calf operation. We produce, sell, and custom bale hay. We are also poultry producers with 3 turkey houses.
We run a commercial spreading business and also grow and sell high-quality hay. We are currently running cattle on approximately 250 acres and have around 200 acres of hay production. We sell high-quality hay produced on the farm as well as alfalfa.
I started out running a 2555 John Deere open station tractor before I was old enough to reach the clutch. My dad would jump on the tractor, put it in low gear, and then hop off the tractor, and I would rake for him while he bailed behind. The first tractor we bought was a 6115D John Deere. As our operation started to grow, we purchased an open station John Deere 5090E.
We used it to rake hay and run the decaker in the turkey houses. It was a lot of fun hitting my heads on the feed lines.
We currently operate a John Deere 6120M tractor on the farm and use a John Deere 333G for the litter operation.
Later, we added a John Deere 6430 we purchased from a neighbor. Being a 2-person operation, it became apparent we needed to upsize our equipment to continue to grow our farm. In 2022, we traded the 5090E in on a 6110M, and we've recently traded the 6115D for our 6145R. We also added a 21-foot disc mower, a 6-basket tedder, and a 20-foot hay rake with auto guidance. Our Autotrac guidance on our tractor.
Auto steer has allowed us to become much more efficient. With input costs at an all-time high, it is extremely important to get a precise application.
The first time I used Autotrac, it was a very cool experience. You don't have to stress about staying online and the application rates. The tractor does it for you. It allows me to apply just the right amount of fertilizer, chemical, or just operate all day cutting hay with a full machine.
Rate control has helped us because we can do an accurate, even application. When a customer orders 200 tons of litter, we know we can spread that precisely across all their ground.
I really like baling hay in the R. It's so easy to operate, and my 5-year-old daughter Caroline can sleep in the floorboard while we work.
Triple link suspension and cab suspension has given me a much smoother ride inside of the cab. It's like riding in a vehicle. It helps me minimize the impact on my body throughout the day, allowing me to stay in the cab and cover more ground.
I really enjoy the electric control valve on the R-Series tractor. It makes it very easy to open the tailgate on the baler.
I'm way less stressed at the end of the day. I know I maximize our dollars and I am way less tired at the end of the day. We would not be able to cover the ground we are without the current equipment we have now.
I would highly recommend anybody that needs to maximize the potential of their operation to invest in technologies such as Autotrac. It is extremely important with commodity prices these days to maximize your return on investment.
If you're looking to grow your operation and efficiency, I definitely recommend investing in technology. I can't imagine going back to the way we were doing it before.
So let's just go ahead and address the deer in the room. We're going to have a show of hands, and participation is required if you want one of these sticks after class. How many of you are running older equipment?
What is over? Yeah.
How many are running 15-year-old equipment? 30-year-old equipment? 40-year-old equipment? All right, now here's the big one. Do not worry about hurting my feelings because I work with Jeff Gately. Even though you may see the value, how many think this technology is irrelevant because you will never own a tractor like one of the machines we've just featured? It's okay, raise your hand. This next video may change your mind.
Good afternoon, my name is Tyler Cantrell. I am a precision ag specialist for Greenway Equipment. Today we wanted to do a video installation of an Autotrac Universal 300 on a 1982 John Deere 4040. So if we come over here, we can see kind of the hardware we're going to be using today. So first things first, this is our Autotrac Universal 300. We like to refer to them as ATU 300 for short. We will install this, and then we've got, so that's one of our main components. And then we have to have a Starfire receiver. This is going to get our satellite signal from the GPS. And then we've got our display that will run the Autotrac function itself. And then we will have our harness that'll connect everything together, and then various mounting brackets to get all of this mounted up in the tractor cab nice and neat, so that way we can use the Autotrac. So the first thing we want to do is we want to remove our old steering wheel. So now that we have the steering wheel removed in our John Deere 4040, we can mount our ATU into the tractor. And so now we'll just slide this ATU directly onto the steering column, making sure to get it lined up appropriately. And then it'll slide down and you'll feel it kind of lock in place down there. So after we get all that installed, we'll simply pop our cap on. So the next thing we want to do is install our mounting bracket for our Starfire receiver. So this will mount directly across the top of the cab, and our receiver will mount right on top, and then we'll plug into it with our harness momentarily. Okay, so we are now on top of the tractor, and we are going to mount our receiver mounting bracket directly to the top of the cab using our existing bolt holes. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and mount our Starfire 6000 receiver, and we want to have this indication light facing forward. So we'll slide this down into the back of our bracket, and it simply locks in place on the front of that bracket. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is mount our display. So this is a 4240 universal display, and we've got a bracket mounted on the back of it. And we've simply drilled a hole in the window frame here, and we're just gonna bolt this bracket directly to the window frame. So the first thing we wanna do is get power to our harness. So we're gonna run this straight to the battery. We're gonna make sure our switch is in the off position, and we're gonna run and get power to our harness straight to the battery. So after we hook our harness to the battery, we are going to run our plug to the Starfire receiver. So next we have our plug that is going to tie right into the back of our 4240 universal display. After that, we have the harness for the ATU 300 itself, and that'll plug right in to our ATU 300. So now all we have left is to plug in our Starfire 6000 receiver, and after that All we need to do now is tidy up the wires and we're ready to go to the field and try it out.
I'm William Greenway. I'm with Greenway Farms Incorporated. We do custom square bales and round bales, sell hay for a living. Currently, our baling tractor is a 6330 Premium, four-wheel drive, and currently it's the workhorse. Our raking and fluffing tractor is a 6230 open station, and we're running a 4440 also as a muscle tractor. I'm interested to see how this Autotrac and this 4040 works today compared to a newer tractor with auto steer. I've run several new tractors with auto steer on friends' operations, and I'm interested to see if adding this to my operation on older tractors is worth its weight. So the Autotrac in this older tractor seems to work just as well as it did in the newer tractors that I've ran. Accuracy, ease of operation. We used a lot spraying, pollen litter, spreading fertilizer. We'll use it raking, fluffing. You can put a guy in there that doesn't know how to not miss a spot. It paints the field where you missed. I can definitely see myself buying one, if not more than one, of these AMS systems to go on my older tractors.
These operate the same as the GPS system you're used to, except the tractor does most of the work. What usually takes us 10 hours to do, he did in 7, and with extreme accuracy. You come to the end of the pass, you don't slow down, you find your next guidance line, and you lock it. Tractor takes over. I don't know how many of you guys have tried to hold a straight line going over terraces like this. It's hard. The guidance system on that has no trouble with it. It maintains the course. You can watch your machine. I guess you can get on TikTok or Facebook. Just make sure you know if you got an end to turn. So this morning we've demonstrated how valuable this technology can be. And Ryan talked about the importance of your dealer being able to support you in your journey. As Tyler mentioned earlier, Greenway employs a whole team of individuals dedicated to the support of our customers. We are on call 24/7. We work when you work. Greenway is a dealership of the future, and we want to be your dealership of the future. Thank you everyone for coming. At this time, are there any questions? Yes, ma'am. Tyler, how much was that system? $12,485, something like that? Yes, ma'am. Anybody else? All right. Feel free to make your way to the back. We've got some gifts for you. We appreciate everyone for coming out.